Hi, and welcome. You're listening to the X22 Report. My name is Dave, and this is episode 1641A, and today's date is August 17th, 2018, and the title of the episode is The Establishment is Now Pushing the Economic Recession Agenda. Let's get into the economic collapse financial news. Well, it looks like the time has come where the establishment is going full throttle on saying that the economy is headed towards a recession. And it's because of the tariffs. And it looks like through the corporate media, as we know, they're going to continually push this idea. Now, this has been planned from the start. We know that certain mainstream media outlets put out that by 2020, the economy will be in a recession. Now, we need to remember something very, very important. We've been tracking this economy since 2008. And we know that this entire system never recovered. We know that it was built up on an illusion. We know that the numbers like GDP, unemployment, and the rest, they have been manipulated to make you think a certain way, to make you think that the economy is improving, it's getting better, and it's very easy to change statistics. Numbers that we see today are the same numbers that we saw back in 2008. They're using the same exact calculations, and all they're doing is pushing this to the extreme. Now, Trump and the Patriots, what they're doing is they're trying to show, using the same method that they used, that the economy's doing a lot better. What they want the central banks to do is they want them to raise the rates and unwind faster and faster. This will bring the system down. What the central bank and the establishment want, they want the system to come down so they can blame it on Trump. Now, what's happening here is we can see from many different indicators that things are rapidly falling apart. And it's not because of the tariffs or things like that. It has nothing to do with that. The economy, again, is built on a house of cards. And it's starting to wobble. And it's going to come down. It was never built on a foundation that can support what is going on here. That is the main problem. Now, Trump knew this when he came into office. Before the campaign, while he was in office, he understands, he realized, he was briefed on it. He knows that the economy is not strong. And he knows that this system cannot continue the way it is. It's completely impossible. It's a central bank system which they designed to benefit them, not the everyday person. And we're starting to see cracks in this whole entire system. Now, the UMich sentiment, this is dropping very, very quickly right now, and consumers are worried. Now, yes, you can push the statistical numbers up to heights that we've never seen before and say the economy's doing great, everything looks great. But remember, that's hope. That's feeling good. But reality always sets in. Because those people know that you can't live on hope and feeling good. And then the people go back to their everyday lives of, where's my manufacturing job? How come I can't find a full-time job? And reality then hits home. And what we're seeing here is that consumers, well, they have a drop in confidence about major purchases. And they're saying that we can't make a major purchase right now for a couple of years. We don't have the funds. We don't have the job. We're a little bit worried right now. And we can see this in the data, the real hard data. I'm not talking about the surveys and all that other stuff. You can see that this is actually declining. There are certain signs that we've been looking at, and there's many, many more, that show that we are headed towards a bear market. Now, we know that the stock market has been completely manipulated. We know the Swiss National Bank has been purchasing a lot of the FANG stocks to pump it up. We know the banks, they were receiving free money. They were pumping up the stock market. We know the Fed has been pumping up the stock market. And when you look at the stock market, it really makes no sense whatsoever. And they're just pushing it up because that makes everyone feel great. Everything around the stock market, just like in 2008, it's all coming down. And the last thing that comes down is the stock market. And then people say, wow, we're in a recession. No, we were in a recession way before that. That's just the signal to let everyone know that it's here. And it allows the mainstream media and the Fed to talk about it because they've been planning on this for a while. And that's what we're seeing right now. So here are some signs that we're headed towards a bear market. Global stocks have now fallen beneath all key moving averages. Those key moving averages are important psychological thresholds for investors. And if we have a few more days like Wednesday, we could see global financial markets go into full panic mode. European banking stocks have now officially entered a bear market, and all major European stock indexes are now red for the year. Global banking stocks are down a whopping 23% from the peak established earlier this year. That means that they have officially entered a bear market. Emerging market stocks have fallen 20% from the peak, and that means that they are also in a bear market. When demand for industrial metals falls, that indicates that an economic slowdown is coming. On Wednesday, prices for industrial metals fell to their lowest level in almost a year. If the financial carnage continues, and that is a big if, this could be the beginning of another financial crisis like we experienced in 2008, but it would be much, much worse because this whole system was built on an illusion. And this would go globally, and the whole system is going to come down. Now, we've been talking about this for quite a while. The mainstream media, the establishment, what they're doing right now is they're pushing their agenda that the entire system is coming down, and they're putting out article after article, letting everyone know who's to blame for this. Now, when we look at this, this is coming from all the different mainstream media outlets, which we know they're all one and the same, but they're all putting out pretty much the same story. I mean, we're getting this from Reuters. Global economy, Eurozone limping as global trade wars escalates. New York Times, if the trade wars start to damage the economy, here's how you'll be able to tell. Market Watch, recession indicators are flashing a yellow caution signal. Business Insider, trade wars hurt the economy, warns Powell. News Hub, trade wars will harm global economy, IMF. Forbes, sorry, President Trump, trade wars are bad and impossible to win. And this is just 6 articles. And if you do a search on Google or Yahoo or any of the search engines, this is what they are all saying. Now, when the corporate media comes together and they push out the same exact message over and over, all they did was switch the words around a little bit, but it's exactly the same message. You know what they are doing. They're building the narrative, and they're going to place the blame on Trump and the Patriots. That is what they're doing right now, because what is happening? Their system is being ripped apart. Their system cannot continue on the way it is. This is a central bank system. They know this. So they were expecting something else to happen. They were expecting maybe Clinton to be in office. They were expecting the agenda to continue the way it was, moving us into some type of war, which would have covered up everything that they had planned to do. Bring down the system, blame it on the war. You have to, sacrifice because of the war and things like that. But guess what? Everything didn't turn out that way. And now they're stuck. They don't know what to do. And they're building this narrative. Remember, whoever owns the narrative, they will become the winner. And right now, both sides are fighting this out. Now remember, this entire system was built on a central bank illusion. They didn't make anything better for the everyday person. They moved manufacturing out of the United States. Jobs right now are the worst type of jobs that we've seen in a very long time. Wages are continually declining, and people are barely getting by. Household debt is at the highest we've ever seen. Student loan debt is at the highest we have ever seen. Automobile, mortgage, you name it, at the highest we've ever seen. So when we look at this entire situation, they've taken this economy, created this illusion, and put the American people, and not just the American people, but globally, all the people, into as much debt as they possibly could. Why do they like putting people into debt? Because you can control the people. You can make them work. Maybe not at the high-paying job, but any job. You're working for low wages just to pay off that little bit of debt. Now, if you look at what the credit cards are charging, 18%, 20%, 30%. I mean, if you didn't hook this to credit cards and you said, wow, someone loaned you money and they're asking for 18%, that's loan sharking. I mean, if you really want to think of it that way. But if you hook it to credit cards, well, you took it out on credit. It's not loan sharking. So what's happening here is they put everyone to debt. Unemployment is high. Now, I'm not talking about the fake statistical numbers. I'm talking about the real unemployment number where people are barely getting by. They have part-time jobs. A lot of people stay quiet about this because it's embarrassing. You lose your high-paying job. You can't find another job. You don't go around to all your neighbors and say, hey, I lost my job and I'm working at this crappy job right now, just barely getting by. Or many people just move away from where they were and they move someplace else and they rent and maybe try to sell their house or things like that. But what's happening here that we need to understand is that the establishment, the central bank, they are now pushing their agenda. And you're going to see at the end of this year, going into next year, every article, everything that you read coming out of the mainstream media is going to be about how this recession is approaching because they are building their narrative and they're going to continually to build this. Now, of course, on the other hand, Trump is going to continually push that the economy is doing great. Yes, the statistical numbers are going to be manipulated. They're going to look out of this world because he's trying to counter what they are doing. But in the background, the economy is really falling apart. What he's trying to do, he's trying to get the central bank to unwind and to raise those rates and to do stupid things. And this is what the Patriots are trying to do. They might even try to do something else, but this is exactly what they're doing. At the same time, they're making all these bilateral trade agreements. So once the system dies, we have trade agreements intact outside of everything else. We have tariffs intact so nobody can take advantage of the U.S. to try to bring manufacturing back to this country, just like the founding fathers, where they said it's better to have manufacturing in this country, which makes a nation very strong. So a lot of this is being done to prepare for after the collapse, to set up the narrative, to force the central bank. On the other hand, the central bank is trying to force the hand of Trump and the Patriots. So this is the battle that we see playing out right now. But one thing is for sure, we're going to go through this one way or another. So be prepared. Listen, everyone, thanks a lot for listening. Be well, be safe, and especially be prepared. Thanks a lot.